If you've been scrolling through endless lists of ultra-thin gaming laptops, comparing specs that look the same on paper, and still feel that uneasy tug of, what if I pick the wrong one, you're not alone. I've been there, sitting with a cup of coffee, trying to decide whether a 13-inch machine can actually hold its own in a marathon gaming session or if it's just a fancy work-only notebook with a flashy badge. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this review I'm going to break down the MSI Summit 13AI Plus Evo the way a real-world user would, talking heat, fan noise, keyboard feel, battery life, display quality, portability, and whether the price really stacks up against a desktop or a larger, less aggressive laptop. First off, the biggest question people ask about a 13-inch gaming laptop is whether the size compromises sustained performance. MSI equips this model with an Intel Core Ultra 7258V and ARC graphics, which on paper sounds like a solid combo for modern titles. In practice, I ran a few of my go-to games Fortnite on medium settings, Elden Ring at 1080p low-mid, and Valorant on competitive high. The frame rates held steady for the first half hour, hovering around 60 frames per second in Fortnite and 45 frames per second in Elden Ring. When I pushed the session to 2 hours, the numbers slipped by roughly 10%, which is typical for thin laptops that can't keep a massive thermal reservoir. The key takeaway: the Summit 13 can definitely deliver a playable experience for esports titles and light AAA sessions, but you won't be pushing ultra settings for hours without a dip. Heat is the next practical hurdle. Because the chassis is only 13.3 inches, the cooling solution has to work hard. I noticed the bottom of the laptop warming up to a comfortable 95 F after a solid gaming stretch. The fans kicked in around 55 dB, which is noticeable in a quiet room but not unbearable. If you're on a shared workspace or a small apartment, you'll hear the whirring, especially during those intensive moments when the GPU spikes. MSI's Power Your Passion branding promises aggressive cooling, and it does keep temperatures in check, yet the trade-off is that the fan curve isn't as refined as you'd find on a 15-inch gaming beast with a larger heatsink. For casual gamers who don't mind a modest hiss, it's acceptable. For audiophiles or streamers who need a whisper-quiet setup, you might look elsewhere. Keyboard feel often gets glossed over in spec sheets, but it's a daily touchpoint. The Summit 13 uses MSI's low-profile chiclet keys with a short travel distance, about 1.3 mm. The actuation feels crisp, and the perky RGB backlight is subtle rather than neon. When I typed out a Discord chat during a match, the keys didn't register double presses, and there was no noticeable flex at the edges, even after hours of use. That said, the keys are a bit shallower than a traditional mechanical board, so if you're used to a tactile click, you might miss that feedback. The built-in number pad is omitted, which is a space-saving win but a minor inconvenience for anyone who relies on that column for quick calculations. Battery life is a common pain point for gaming laptops, and the Summit 13 is no exception. With a 53Wh cell, the laptop lasted about 4 hours when I was browsing, watching YouTube, and doing light photo editing. Switch to a game like Valorant and you're looking at roughly 90 minutes before the charger is needed. MSI markets Wireless Reimagined, which primarily refers to the integrated Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.2 modules. Those work flawlessly and give a stable connection for online play, but they don't magically extend battery runtime. If you need a machine that can survive a full day of meetings and a quick game session on the go, this laptop will get you there, but it's not an all-day gaming on battery solution. Display quality is where the Summit 13 shines for its size. The 13.3-inch FHD Plus panel packs a 1920x1200 resolution, delivering a slightly taller aspect ratio that gives you a bit more vertical real estate for coding or browsing. The panel's brightness peaks at around 300 nits, which is plenty for indoor use, and the color gamut covers roughly 100% of the sRGB spectrum, so games look vibrant without oversaturation. There's also a 120Hz refresh rate, which you can actually feel in fast-paced shooters, a smoother cursor and less motion blur. The downside is that the panel isn't HDR capable, so you won't see the same punchy highlights you'd get on a higher-end 4K screen. For a laptop that fits in a backpack, the visual experience feels surprisingly generous. Portability is arguably the Summit's strongest selling point. At 2.8 kilograms and just under an inch thick, it slides into most carry-on bags without forcing you to sacrifice a seat on the plane. The inclusion of Thunderbolt 4 means you can hook up an external GPU, a 4K monitor, or fast storage with a single cable, effectively turning this tiny chassis into a desktop workstation when you're at your desk. That flexibility is where the perfect match tagline makes sense. You can have